Thank you for being with us on this feast of St. Philip Neri. Our top story tonight, in an exclusive interview with Telemundo News, Pope Francis gave his perspective on the war in Ukraine, where he also offered to help with a peace mission. EWTN News Vatican Correspondent Colm Flynn has more.
Good evening, Tracy. Before we bring you the news of Pope Francis's latest TV interview, we have to mention that today the Vatican issued a statement saying that the Pope's appointments had been cancelled due to him suffering from a fever. And as you'll remember, Pope Francis was hospitalized at the end of March because of a lung infection. So we are keeping an eye on that story here in Rome and, of course, praying for a quick recovery. But in other news, Pope Francis gave a 30-minute interview to the Spanish-speaking TV network, which is owned by NBC, Telemundo, yesterday, and it has just been released today. During the course of the interview, they touched on a number of issues, starting with the Pope's health. When asked about how he was feeling, he said overall much better. He noted that he could now walk again and talked about his recovery with his knee. He also spoke about his recent time in hospital for bronchitis, saying that they had caught it just in time. And if it had been only a few more hours, it would have been much more severe. He then spoke about the power of prayer and said that many people didn't realize that prayers can be miraculous. Talking about changes he had made in the Vatican and to the running of the Vatican, the Pope was asked if there was anything else that he wanted to do, to which he answered, quote, "Everything. It's funny, the more you do, the more you realize that you still have so much left to do," end quote. When he was asked about immigrants crossing the southern U.S. border from Mexico into the United States and if he had a message for them, the Pope said it was a serious problem, but then spoke more broadly about immigration. He segued to his recent trip to South Sudan in Africa, saying that those who exploit Africa have no conscience. Speaking about the war in Ukraine, the Pope talked about his meeting with President Zelenskyy and how the President asked the Pope for, quote, a big favor, and that was to take care of the Ukrainian children who had been taken to Russia. When pushed on whether he thought Russia should hand back captured territories to Ukraine, he said that that was a political issue. On the abuse scandals in the Catholic Church, the Pope was asked if he thought there was a link between priestly celibacy and the abuse of minors. In answering this question, the Pope pointed out that statistically, most abuse happens within the family. Quote, an uncle, a father, a grandfather, and they are all married, the Pope said. Finally, the interviewer asked Pope Francis about abortion. He said to the Pope, I know what the Church teaches on abortion, but he asked him directly if he thought a woman who was raped had the right not to have that child. The Pope responded, saying that the science and biology was clear. It showed that there was life there. And then he asked the interviewer, quote, is it lawful to eliminate a life to solve a problem? Is it lawful to hire a hitman to solve a problem? You're not going to get me to change my mind because it is the truth, end quote. In Rome, Colm Flynn, EWTN News Nightly.